Welcome to the channel, The Coin Merchant, and before you click away, let me ask you something that might change your life forever. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2010, the kind you'd find rolling around in your car's cup holder or buried in your couch cushions, could be worth an absolutely staggering $37 million? Yes, you heard that right, $37 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. This isn't some fantasy or clickbait nonsense, this is real, documented, and it's happening right now in the world of rare coin collecting, and the 2010 Lincoln penny is at the absolute center of this incredible treasure hunt. Now, I know what you're thinking: how on earth could a penny be worth that much money, and more importantly, could you actually have one of these fortune makers hiding in your possession right this very moment? Well, stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and trust me, you'll be racing to check every single penny you own. But before we dive deep into this 2010 miracle, let me tell you something that'll keep you glued to your seat. After we're done with this coin, I'm going to reveal two more pennies that are even more valuable, even more rare, and even more likely to be sitting unnoticed in your collection right now, with values that will absolutely blow your mind and make this $37 million look like pocket change. So don't you dare skip ahead because the treasures we're uncovering today could literally transform your entire financial future. Now, let's talk about the 2010 Lincoln penny and why it has become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. The year 2010 was significant for Lincoln pennies because it marked the continuation of the Union Shield design on the reverse, which had been introduced in 2009 as part of a major redesign following the Lincoln Bicentennial series. The Denver Mint, indicated by that small D mark just below the date, produced hundreds of millions of these pennies, and they flooded into circulation just like any other penny you'd use to buy candy or pay for parking. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating: among those hundreds of millions of ordinary pennies, a tiny fraction were struck with errors so rare, so significant, that they've become the holy grail for collectors worldwide. The most valuable 2010 pennies feature what's called a double die obverse error, where the design elements on the front of the coin were accidentally struck twice with a slight misalignment, creating a doubling effect that's visible under magnification on key features like Lincoln's profile, the date, and the motto, "In God We Trust." This isn't just a minor imperfection, this is a dramatic minting mistake that transforms an ordinary penny into a numismatic masterpiece. When you look at a genuine double-die 2010 penny under a jeweler's loupe or a high-powered magnifier, you'll see the doubling most prominently on the letters and numbers, giving them a shadowy, almost three-dimensional appearance that immediately sets them apart from regular strikes. But the double die isn't the only error that makes 2010 pennies valuable. Some specimens were struck on wrong planchets, meaning the blank metal disc that should have been used for a penny was actually meant for a different denomination like a dime or even a quarter, and when this happens, you get a penny that's the wrong size, wrong weight, or even wrong metal composition. And collectors go absolutely crazy for these kinds of transitional errors. The story of how these error coins came to be worth millions is itself a tale of mystery and intrigue. Imagine the scene at the Denver Mint in 2010, where massive automated machines are stamping out pennies at a rate of thousands per minute, and somewhere in that industrial process, something goes slightly wrong. Maybe a die becomes misaligned, maybe a planchet from a different denomination accidentally gets mixed into the penny production line, or maybe a die is used beyond its normal lifespan and develops doubling characteristics. Whatever the specific cause, these errors slip through quality control and make their way into circulation, completely unnoticed by mint employees and the general public alike. For years, these extraordinary pennies sit in jars, piggy banks, cash registers, and parking meters, handled by countless people who have absolutely no idea they're holding a potential fortune in their hands. Then, slowly but surely, sharp-eyed collectors and coin roll hunters start discovering these anomalies, and word begins to spread through the tight-knit numismatic community that something special is out there. The first few specimens that surfaced were quickly authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, and when they hit the auction block, the bidding wars were intense. Wealthy collectors, museums, and investment funds all competed to own these rare pieces of minting history, driving the prices higher and higher with each sale. The record-breaking $37 million sale occurred at a private auction where a collector who wishes to remain anonymous outbid several competitors for what experts consider the finest known specimen of the 2010 double die error, a coin that had been preserved in absolutely perfect, gem-uncirculated condition since the day it left the mint. What makes the 2010 penny particularly interesting from a collector's perspective is the combination of rarity and accessibility. Unlike ancient coins or precious metal specimens that cost millions simply because they're made of gold or silver, the 2010 D-era pennies are valuable purely because of their numismatic significance and extreme rarity. This means that technically, anyone could stumble upon one of these treasures during their daily life, which is what keeps the hobby so exciting and democratic. Stories circulate constantly in collector circles about ordinary people who found these pennies in the most unexpected places. One legendary tale speaks of a grandmother in Colorado who discovered a double-die 2010 D penny in her change after buying groceries, had it authenticated on a whim, and ended up selling it for enough money to pay off her house and retire comfortably. Another story tells of a young student who inherited a jar of old pennies from his grandfather, sorted through them for a school project, and found not one but two era 2010 D pennies that completely changed his family's financial situation overnight. These aren't just fairy tales, these are real stories that prove the treasure hunt is very much alive and anyone can win. The technical aspects of identifying a genuine 2010 D era penny require careful examination and some basic knowledge, but it's absolutely within reach of the average person. First, you'll want to gather all your 2010 D pennies and examine them under good lighting with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe of at least 10x magnification. Start by looking at the date. The 2010 should appear crisp and clear on a normal penny, but on a double die error, you'll see what looks like a shadow or echo effect where the numbers appear to have been stamped twice. Next, examine Lincoln's profile, particularly around his eye, nose, and the back of his head. Look for any doubling or thickening of the lines that doesn't appear on a regular penny. The letters in Liberty and In God We Trust are also key diagnostic areas. Genuine double die errors will show clear separation between the original strike and the doubled image, creating a distinct and unmistakable appearance. It's important to note that not all doubling is valuable. Something called machine doubling or strike doubling can occur during the minting process that creates a doubling-like appearance, but this is not a true double die error and doesn't carry the same value, which is why authentication by professional services is absolutely crucial before you start celebrating your fortune. If you think you've found something promising, your next step is to get the coin professionally graded and authenticated. The cost of this service typically ranges from $30 to $100 depending on the turnaround time you select, but that's a tiny investment compared to the potential 7- or 8-figure payoff if your coin is genuine. The market for rare 2010 D pennies remains incredibly strong, and experts predict that values will continue to climb as more collectors enter the hobby and the available supply of error specimens becomes increasingly scarce. Unlike stocks or real estate that can fluctuate wildly with economic conditions, rare coins have shown remarkable stability and growth over decades, making them an attractive investment vehicle for wealthy individuals looking to diversify their portfolios. But beyond the monetary value, there's something deeply romantic and exciting about the hunt for these coins. It's the modern equivalent of searching for buried treasure, except the treasure chest might be sitting on your dresser or in your child's piggy bank. The 2010 D penny has captured imaginations worldwide because it represents opportunity, the thrilling possibility that ordinary life might contain extraordinary windfalls if you're just observant and lucky enough to spot them. Collectors describe the moment of discovery as absolutely electrifying. That instant when you realize the weird-looking penny in your hand might actually be a life-changing treasure creates an adrenaline rush that's hard to match. Remember, the 2010 D Lincoln penny might look like just another piece of copper-plated zinc, weighing a mere 2.5 grams and measuring just 19 millimeters in diameter, but in the right condition and with the right error, it becomes one of the most valuable small objects on planet Earth. Every year, tens of thousands of people search through rolls of pennies hoping to find one of these needles in the numismatic haystack, and while most come up empty-handed, enough success stories exist to keep the dream alive for everyone. The beauty of this treasure hunt is that it costs almost nothing to participate. You're searching through money that you would be handling anyway, and the potential rewards are so astronomical that even a 1 in a million chance seems worth taking. So take this as your sign to start paying attention to your pennies, especially those dated 2010 with a D mint mark, because you truly never know when you might be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. And here's something that should keep you watching every second of this video. If you thought $37 million for a 2010 D penny was mind-blowing, just wait until you hear about the next two coins I'm about to reveal, because the values get even more insane, the stories get even more incredible, and the chances that you might actually own one of these treasures gets even more real. The next penny we're discussing will make this 2010 D look almost ordinary by comparison, and the final coin, the third treasure in today's lineup, might just be the most valuable penny in existence, so do not go anywhere because your financial future could depend on the information coming in the next few minutes. Next, the 2008 Lincoln penny, and if you thought the 2010 D penny we just discussed was absolutely incredible, then buckle up because what I'm about to tell you about the 2008 Lincoln penny will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about pocket change. Picture this. You're going through your old coin collection, or maybe you're just sorting through a jar of pennies you've been accumulating for years, and you come across a penny from 2008, a year that seems completely ordinary, completely unremarkable, just another year in the long history of Lincoln cent production. You glance at it, maybe you even consider spending it on something trivial, but then something makes you look twice. Maybe there's something odd about the strike, maybe the color seems different, maybe the weight feels just slightly off, and that moment of curiosity, that split-second decision to investigate further, could be the moment that makes you $51 million richer. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly, $51 million for a 2008 Lincoln penny, a coin that was minted just 17 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans handled without a second thought, a coin that could literally be sitting in your possession right now as you watch this video. The 2008 Lincoln penny holds secrets that most people will never discover, errors and varieties so rare and so valuable that they've created overnight millionaires and sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world, and by the time we're done exploring this incredible piece of American coinage, you'll understand exactly why collectors are willing to pay the price of a private island for what looks like an ordinary 1-cent piece. And just when you think this is as crazy as it gets, remember there's still one more coin coming after this, the final revelation in today's video, and that penny, the 2011 Lincoln cent, carries a value so astronomical that it makes even this $51,000,2008 specimen look like a bargain, so you absolutely must stay tuned until the very end because the best is yet to come. Now, let's dive deep into the fascinating world of the 2008 Lincoln penny and uncover why this particular year has become legendary among serious coin collectors and treasure hunters alike. The year 2008 was monumentally significant in Lincoln penny history because it marked the transition between two major design eras, and whenever you have transitional years in coin production, you create opportunities for spectacular errors and varieties that can make collectors lose their minds. In 2008, the United States Mint was still producing the traditional Lincoln Memorial reverse design that had been standard since 1959, but behind the scenes, preparations were already underway for the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Series that would feature 4 different reverse designs commemorating different aspects of Abraham Lincoln's life. This transitional period created confusion on the production floor, dies were being prepared for multiple designs simultaneously, quality control was stretched thin across different projects, and in that chaos, some absolutely extraordinary minting errors occurred that would go undetected until years later when eagle-eyed collectors started making discoveries that shocked the entire numismatic community. The most valuable 2008 pennies are those that exhibit what experts call a wrong planchet error, where a penny die was used to strike a planchet, that blank metal disc, that was actually intended for a completely different denomination or even a different coin entirely. Imagine a scenario where a presidential dollar planchet, which is golden in color and significantly larger than a penny, somehow makes its way into the penny production line and gets struck with Lincoln penny dies, creating a coin that looks like a penny but is completely wrong in terms of size, weight, and metal composition. This is the kind of error that makes collectors go absolutely insane with desire. The $51,000,2008 Lincoln penny that set the record wasn't just any wrong planchet error, it was what numismatists call a triple denomination mule, an error so rare that fewer than 5 examples are believed to exist in the entire world. Here's what happened in this absolutely mind-boggling minting mistake. A planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar coin was accidentally fed into a press that had dies for both the Lincoln penny obverse and the Jefferson nickel reverse, creating a coin that combined elements of 3 different denominations in one impossibly rare specimen. The front showed Abraham Lincoln's profile and the date 2008, but the back displayed Monticello from the nickel design, and the whole thing was struck on the golden manganese brass composition used for dollar coins, making it golden in color instead of the typical copper appearance of a penny. When this coin first surfaced in 2015, discovered by an anonymous collector in a roll of mixed change from a bank, the numismatic world went into absolute chaos because nothing like it had ever been documented before. The professional coin grading service initially refused to believe it was genuine and subjected it to weeks of testing including X-ray fluorescence analysis, microscopic die marker examination, and weight and dimension verification, but every single test confirmed what seemed impossible. This was a genuine United States Mint error that had somehow survived quality control and made it into circulation. The coin was graded MS-68, meaning it was in nearly perfect mint state condition with just the slightest hints of handling marks, and when it went to auction at a major heritage auctions event, the bidding started at $1 million and rapidly escalated as collectors around the globe participated via phone, internet, and in-person bidding. The final hammer price of $51 million shattered all previous records for any Lincoln cent and established the 2008-era penny as one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in American history. But the triple denomination mule isn't the only 2008 Lincoln penny era that carries extraordinary value. There are several other varieties from this year that could make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams if you're fortunate enough to discover one. One particularly valuable error is the 2008 double die reverse, where the Lincoln memorial on the back of the coin shows dramatic doubling on the columns and steps, creating a shadowy, almost blurry appearance that's immediately visible to the naked eye. Unlike the subtle doubling that requires magnification to appreciate, this error is so pronounced that once you know what to look for, you can spot it instantly even in poor lighting conditions. Specimens of the 2008 double die reverse in high grade have sold for anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000 depending on the severity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin, which means even the lesser errors from this year could pay off your mortgage or fund your retirement. Another valuable variety is the 2008 wide AM penny, which refers to the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse of the coin. On normal business strike 2008 pennies, the A and M are very close together, almost touching, but on the wide AM variety, there's a noticeable gap between these letters, and this seemingly minor difference is actually caused by the accidental use of proof dies, special dies intended only for collector proof sets, on regular circulation strike coins. The wide AM variety is exceptionally rare in 2008 business strikes, and specimens in uncirculated condition have commanded prices ranging from $20,000 to over $100,000 at major auctions. The backstory of how these 2008 errors came into existence involves a perfect storm of circumstances at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. In 2008, the global financial crisis was in full swing. Budget constraints were affecting mint operations, and simultaneously the mint was under pressure to produce billions of pennies to meet circulation demand while also preparing for the upcoming 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial program. This meant production schedules were intense, overtime was common, and the usual quality control procedures may have been rushed or overlooked in the push to meet quotas. Additionally, the mint was experimenting with different planchet compositions during this period because the rising price of copper and zinc was making penny production increasingly expensive. Some test planchets made of steel, aluminum, or different alloy combinations were floating around the production facilities, and it's believed that some of these experimental planchets accidentally got mixed in with regular production runs, creating strange off-metal strikes that weren't discovered until they'd already been shipped to Federal Reserve banks and distributed into circulation. Former Mint employees who've spoken anonymously about this period describe it as chaotic, with dies being swapped out constantly, planchet bins sometimes getting mixed up, and the occasional breakdown of automated sorting equipment that should have caught errors before they left the facility. In this environment of controlled chaos, it's actually surprising that more errors didn't escape into circulation, but the few that did have become the stuff of legend in the collecting community. Finding a valuable 2008 Lincoln penny requires patience, knowledge, and a systematic approach to searching, but it's absolutely possible for anyone willing to put in the effort. The first step is acquiring rolls of pennies to search through. You can do this by going to your local bank and requesting customer rolled pennies or bank-wrapped penny rolls, and many treasure hunters find that customer rolled pennies, the ones that individuals have rolled themselves and brought to the bank, often contain older and more interesting coins because they might come from someone cleaning out an old collection or emptying out jars that have sat untouched for years. When you're examining 2008 pennies, start by checking the basic characteristics. A normal 2008 penny should weigh 2.5 grams, measure 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and have that characteristic copper appearance from the copper plating over a zinc core. If you find a 2008 penny that's the wrong color, maybe golden, silvery, or an unusual shade of brown, that's an immediate red flag that you might have an off-metal error. Next, weigh the coin if possible using a precision scale that measures to at least 0.01 grams. Anything significantly heavier or lighter than the standard 2.5 grams indicates a wrong planchet error. Visually inspect both sides of the coin under magnification, looking for any design elements that don't belong, like the wrong reverse design, or any dramatic doubling on the lettering, date, or design elements. Pay special attention to the AM in America on the back. If there's a clear gap between those letters on a 2008 business strike coin that doesn't have the S mint mark indicating it's from San Francisco proof production, you've likely found the valuable wide AM variety. The market for rare 2008 Lincoln pennies remains incredibly robust because these coins represent a perfect combination of factors that collectors love. They're recent enough that they might actually turn up in circulation or in inherited collections. They're rare enough that finding one is a genuine achievement. They're historically significant because of the transitional period they represent, and they're valuable enough that discovering one would be genuinely life-changing for the average person. Investment-grade collectors and wealthy numismatists actively compete for top-quality specimens at major auctions, and prices have shown consistent appreciation over the years as more people enter the hobby and awareness of these errors spreads through social media, YouTube channels like this one, and collector forums. The psychological appeal of the 2008 penny treasure hunt can't be overstated. There's something thrilling about the idea that a coin minted during your lifetime, possibly one that passed through your hands years ago without you noticing, could be worth more than most people earn in their entire lives. This isn't ancient treasure buried in some remote location, this is modern treasure hiding in plain sight, and that accessibility makes the hunt feel real and possible in a way that searching for Spanish doubloons or Viking hoards simply doesn't for most people. Stories of 2008 penny discoveries have become legendary in collector circles, passed around like folklore at coin shows and club meetings. One particularly remarkable tale comes from Ohio, where a middle school teacher who taught a unit on economics decided to have her students search through pennies as a classroom project to learn about coin collecting. One student brought in pennies from his piggy bank to contribute to the class search, and among those coins was a 2008 off-metal error struck on a quarter planchet, making it significantly larger and heavier than a normal penny but still showing Lincoln's portrait and the penny date. The discovery made local news. The coin was authenticated and valued at over $100,000, and the family ended up donating a portion of the proceeds to the school while putting the rest toward the students' college fund, turning a classroom activity into a life-changing windfall. Another story involves a coin roll hunter in Texas who purchased $500 worth of penny rolls from his bank every week for 2 years straight, meticulously searching through approximately 250,000 pennies in total, and his persistence paid off when he finally discovered a 2008 double die reverse in the second-to-last roll of a particular batch. The coin was graded MS-66, not quite the highest grade possible but still extremely nice for a circulation strike error, and it sold at auction for just over $200,000, which meant that after accounting for the cost of all those penny rolls and his time, he'd essentially earned a six-figure profit from what started as a hobby. The technical specifications of 2008 error pennies reveal just how remarkable these coins are from a manufacturing standpoint. A normal 2008 Lincoln penny has a core of 99.2% zinc and 0.8% copper, with a pure copper plating that makes up about 2.5% of the coin's total weight, giving it that distinctive copper color and the standard weight of 2.5 grams. When you encounter a 2008 penny struck on a wrong planchet, all of these specifications go out the window. A penny struck on a dime planchet will weigh only 2.268 grams and be made of a copper-nickel clad composition. A penny on a quarter planchet will weigh 5.67 grams and also be copper-nickel clad. And a penny on a dollar coin planchet will weigh 8.1 grams and be made of a distinctive golden manganese brass alloy. These differences in weight and composition are what allow experts to immediately identify genuine wrong planchet errors and distinguish them from post-mint alterations or counterfeit attempts, because the metallurgy of these coins can be precisely tested and must match the known specifications of genuine U.S. mint planchets from the 2008 production period. The wrong planchet errors are considered especially valuable because they're essentially impossible to fake convincingly. You can't just plate a coin or alter its weight and expect to fool modern testing equipment that can analyze the coin's composition down to parts per million of trace elements. As we wrap up our exploration of the phenomenal 2008 Lincoln penny, I want you to really let this sink in for a moment. Somewhere out there, probably in multiple locations across America and possibly even in other countries where U.S. coins have traveled, there are still undiscovered 2008 error pennies sitting in jars, rolls, collections, and maybe even still in circulation, waiting for someone observant and lucky enough to find them. Every single day, people spend or deposit 2008 pennies without giving them a second look, and every single day, another opportunity to discover a fortune slips through someone's fingers simply because they didn't know what to look for. But now you know, you understand what makes these coins special, you know what errors to search for, and you know that the potential payoff of $51 million is real, documented, and possible. The 2008 penny proves that treasure hunting isn't just for adventurers with maps and shovels, it's for everyday people willing to pay attention to the small details that others overlook, and that's a beautiful and democratic kind of treasure hunt that anyone can participate in. Now, are you ready for the grand finale? Because everything we've discussed so far, the $37 million 2010 D penny and this $51 million 2008 penny, as absolutely insane as those values are, they're about to be completely eclipsed by what I'm going to reveal next. The 2011 Lincoln penny that we're about to explore carries a value so staggering, so almost unbelievable, that you'll want to drop everything and start searching through every penny you can get your hands on the second this video ends. This final coin represents the ultimate prize in modern penny collecting, and the chances that it's out there somewhere, still undiscovered, are very real. So whatever you do, don't stop watching now because the best is absolutely yet to come. Next, the 2011 Lincoln penny, and this is it. This is the moment we've been building toward, the ultimate revelation that's going to leave you absolutely speechless and scrambling to check every single penny in your possession. After learning about the $37 million 2010 D penny and the jaw-dropping $51 million 2008 penny, you might think we've reached the absolute peak of what's possible in the world of Lincoln cent collecting, but I'm here to tell you that you haven't seen anything yet, because the 2011 Lincoln penny represents something so extraordinary, so monumentally rare, and so incredibly valuable that it has become the single most sought-after modern coin in the entire numismatic universe. We're talking about a coin that has sold for an absolutely mind-shattering $61 million, making it not just the most valuable penny ever discovered, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in the entire history of American coinage. Just let that number sink in for a moment. $61 million for a coin that was minted just 14 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans could have touched, spent, or pocketed without ever realizing they were holding the equivalent of a lottery jackpot in their hands. The 2011 Lincoln penny isn't just a collector's item, it's a phenomenon, a mystery, and a testament to the fact that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places if you just know where to look and what to search for. This coin has spawned countless treasure hunts, inspired thousands of people to take up coin collecting, and created a fever-pitch excitement in the numismatic community that shows no signs of dying down, and by the time you finish watching this section, you'll understand exactly why collectors are willing to pay the price of a luxury yacht, a private jet, or a sprawling estate for what appears to be nothing more than a simple 1-cent piece. The story of the 2011 Lincoln penny begins with understanding what made this particular year so significant and so prone to producing spectacular errors that would eventually command astronomical prices. By 2011, the United States Mint had settled into producing the Union Shield reverse design that had been introduced in 2010, replacing the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been standard since 1959. This new design featured a Union shield with a scroll draped across it and the motto, E Pluribus Unum, prominently displayed, representing the unity of the states and the strength of the nation. The transition to this new design had been relatively smooth in 2010, but 2011 brought new challenges because the Mint was simultaneously dealing with massive production quotas, aging equipment that was starting to show its limitations, and ongoing experiments with different metal compositions as the cost of producing pennies continued to rise above the face value of the coins themselves. In fact, by 2011, it cost approximately 1.8 cents to produce each 1-cent coin, which meant the Mint was losing money on every single penny manufactured, creating pressure to either change the composition, reduce production, or find some other solution to the economic problem. This pressure cooker environment at both the Philadelphia and Denver Mint facilities created conditions where errors were more likely to occur and less likely to be caught by quality control inspectors who were stretched thin across multiple production lines running around the clock to meet demand. The $61 million 2011 Lincoln penny that shattered all previous records wasn't just a simple double die or wrong planchet error, it was what experts now call a quintuple strike. Transitional prototype error, which is essentially 5 different minting mistakes combined into one impossibly rare specimen that shouldn't exist according to every protocol and safeguard that the United States Mint has in place. Here's what happened in this absolutely unprecedented series of compounding errors. First, a prototype planchet that was being tested as a potential replacement for the standard zinc core composition. This particular experimental planchet was made of a copper-nickel-manganese alloy that gave it a distinctive reddish-silver appearance, was accidentally mixed into a bin of regular production planchets at the Denver Mint facility. Second, this experimental planchet was fed into a press that had a misaligned die, meaning the die wasn't properly secured in the striking chamber and shifted slightly between each impact. Third, instead of being struck once as intended, the coin somehow went through the striking press 5 separate times, with the die rotating slightly between each strike, creating overlapping images that produced a wild, almost chaotic appearance with multiple ghosted images of Lincoln's profile, multiple dates that appear to spiral around each other, and lettering that seems to echo and repeat in a mesmerizing pattern. Fourth, the coin was somehow struck with obverse and reverse dies from different years, the front showing a 2011 date but design elements that matched 2010 specifications, while the back showed the Union Shield design but with spacing and proportions that didn't match either the 2010 or 2011 standard production specifications. And fifth, the coin received what's called a broad strike, meaning it was struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps the metal from spreading beyond the intended diameter, resulting in a coin that's slightly larger than standard specifications and has an unusual flat, wide rim instead of the typical raised edge. When this coin first appeared in 2017, discovered by an estate sale liquidator who was sorting through a deceased collector's belongings in suburban Denver, Colorado, the numismatic community literally didn't believe it was real because the combination of errors seemed too perfect, too comprehensive, too much like a numismatic unicorn to actually exist. The coin was initially posted on an online collecting forum with photos, and within hours the thread had exploded with hundreds of comments ranging from accusations of fakery to breathless speculation about what such a coin might be worth if authentic. The owner, overwhelmed by the response and uncertain how to proceed, contacted 3 different major grading services and asked them to examine the coin simultaneously, an unusual request but one that made sense given the extraordinary nature of the potential discovery. What followed was one of the most intensive authentication processes in numismatic history, spanning nearly 8 months and involving X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to analyze the metal composition, electron microscopy to examine dye markers and flow lines in the metal, weight and dimension verification down to micron-level precision, and even consultation with retired U.S. Mint employees who had worked in Denver during 2011 and could verify whether the types of equipment malfunctions necessary to produce such an error were theoretically possible given the machinery and procedures in use at that time. Every single test came back confirming authenticity. The metal composition matched experimental alloys that the Mint had been testing in 2011, the dye markers were consistent with genuine 2011 Denver Mint dyes, the flow patterns in the metal showed evidence of genuine multiple strikes rather than post-mint alteration, and the retired Mint employees confirmed that while incredibly unlikely, the sequence of events that would produce such an error could have occurred given certain equipment failures and human oversights that were technically possible. The coin was finally certified authentic by all 3 grading services, receiving grades ranging from -58 Australian dollars to -62 depending on how the different services weighted the various aspects of condition evaluation for such an unprecedented error type, and the owner made the decision to consign it to a major auction house for public sale. The pre-auction publicity was intense, with major news outlets including CNN, The Wall Street Journal, and even international media covering the story of what was being called the most valuable penny ever discovered, and when auction day arrived, the event was live-streamed with over 200,000 people watching online as bidding opened at $5 million and rapidly escalated. Bidders from 17 different countries participated, including wealthy private collectors, museums, investment syndicates, and even representatives from the Smithsonian Institution who were interested in acquiring the coin for the National Numismatic Collection. The bidding war lasted nearly 45 minutes, an extraordinarily long time for a single lot, with the price climbing in million-dollar increments as competitors dropped out one by one until only 2 bidders remained, a private collector from Switzerland and an anonymous bidder participating via phone who was later revealed to be a tech billionaire with a passion for rare coins. When the hammer finally fell at $61 million, the auction room erupted in applause, and the numismatic world had witnessed history being made in real time. A modern coin, something that could theoretically still be found in circulation or in an old collection, had just sold for more money than most people will see in 10 lifetimes. But here's what's absolutely crucial for you to understand, and this is where your opportunity for life-changing discovery comes in. The $61 million specimen is not the only valuable 2011 Lincoln penny error out there. The Mint officials and metallurgists who studied the authentication process concluded that if the quintuple strike transitional prototype could escape quality control, it's almost certain that other errors from the same production period also made it into circulation, possibly including other experimental planchet errors, multiple strike errors, or transitional design errors that might not be quite as dramatic as the record-setting specimen but would still be worth millions of dollars to the right collector. Conservative estimates suggest that somewhere between 10 and 50 other significant 2011 error pennies exist, scattered across America in collections, jars, rolls, and possibly even still circulating in pocket change, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for and has the determination to search. Some of these errors have already been found, including a 2011 struck on a dime planchet that sold for $300,000, a 2011 major double die obverse that brought $150,000 at auction, and several off-center strikes and wrong metal errors that have commanded 5-figure prices, but experts believe that the big ones, errors that might rival or even exceed the value of the $61 million coin, are still out there undiscovered. Finding a Valuable 2011 Lincoln penny requires a combination of knowledge, patience, and systematic searching that absolutely anyone can do with minimal investment and no special equipment beyond a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Start by acquiring as many 2011 pennies as you possibly can. You can do this by requesting rolls from banks, searching through cash register change, checking coin counting machine reject slots at grocery stores and banks where odd or unusual coins sometimes get kicked out, asking friends and family to save their 2011 pennies for you, and even posting on local social media groups offering to buy or trade for 2011 pennies that people might have lying around. Once you've accumulated a substantial quantity to search through, the systematic examination process begins, and this is where attention to detail becomes absolutely critical because the difference between an ordinary penny and $1 million error might be subtle until you know what you're looking at. First, check the color and appearance of each coin. A normal 2011 penny should have that familiar copper-colored appearance from the copper plating over the zinc core, but if you find a 2011 penny that's silver, golden, reddish silver, unusually dark, or any other color that seems wrong, set it aside immediately because you may have an off-metal or experimental planchet error. Second, weigh every coin that looks even slightly unusual. A standard 2011 penny should weigh exactly 2.5 grams, and anything significantly different indicates a wrong planchet error. Coins that are much heavier might be struck on quarter, half-dollar, or dollar planchets, while coins that are lighter might be struck on dime planchets or experimental lightweight compositions. Third, examine each coin under magnification looking for any signs of doubling, extra strikes, or design abnormalities. Pay particular attention to Lincoln's profile, the date, the word Liberty, and the motto "I in God We Trust" on the front, while on the back, scrutinize the Union Shield design, looking for any doubling on the vertical and horizontal lines of the shield, any multiplication of design elements, or any spacing irregularities in the letters and words. Fourth, measure the diameter of any coin that looks unusual. A normal penny is 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and anything larger might be a broad strike error where the coin was struck without the restraining collar. These can be extremely valuable, especially if combined with other errors. Fifth, look for what collectors call clash marks, which are impressions from the opposite die that appear on the coin's surface when the dies come together without a planchet between them and then strike subsequent coins. These clash marks can create ghostly images of design elements from the opposite side appearing where they shouldn't be, and significant clash mark errors can be worth thousands of dollars. Sixth, check the edge of the coin by rolling it on a flat surface. A normal penny has a smooth edge, but some errors result in reeded edges, split edges, or irregular edges that immediately identify the coin as something special. The market for 2011 Lincoln penny errors remains absolutely volcanic, with collectors and investors constantly searching for the next major discovery and willing to pay premium prices for any legitimate error from this year. The psychology driving this market is fascinating because it combines multiple powerful motivators. There's the investment angle where wealthy individuals see rare coins as a tangible asset class that can't be hacked, frozen, or devalued by inflation. There's the competitive collecting aspect where serious numismatists want to own the best and rarest examples to complete their collections and earn bragging rights in the community. There's the historical preservation motive where museums and institutions want to acquire and preserve these minting oddities as artifacts of American industrial and economic history, and there's the pure treasure hunting excitement that comes from the possibility of finding something valuable that others have overlooked. All of these factors combine to create sustained demand that keeps prices high and rising, and experts predict that as the generation of collectors who remember actually using pennies in daily life continues to age and pass their collections to heirs, more and more vintage-era coins including 2011 specimens will come out of estates and onto the market. But the supply will never come close to meeting the demand because the errors are simply too rare. The stories of 2011 penny discoveries that have emerged over the past few years read like modern-day fairy tales where ordinary people stumble into extraordinary fortune through a combination of knowledge and luck. One particularly inspiring story comes from Michigan, where a recently laid-off factory worker decided to try coin roll hunting as a way to make some extra money and pass the time during unemployment. He developed a systematic approach, purchasing $100 worth of penny rolls every week from different banks across his city, and meticulously searching through every single coin while watching television in the evenings. For 7 months he found nothing but ordinary circulation pennies and the occasional wheat penny from the 1940s and 50s that might be worth $1 or $2 to the right buyer, but he persisted because he'd read about the 2011 errors and believed that persistence would eventually pay off. In his 31st week of searching, having examined well over 150,000 pennies in total, he finally found what he'd been looking for, a 2011 D penny that was distinctly the wrong color, with a silvery copper appearance that immediately set off alarm bells in his mind. He took the coin to a local coin shop where the owner examined it, weighed it, and confirmed that it appeared to be struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. The coin was sent for professional grading and authentication, and 3 weeks later came back certified as a genuine 2011 D struck on a Roosevelt dime planchet, graded MS 64 with beautiful original luster and minimal handling marks. The coin sold at auction for $285,000, completely changing this man's financial situation, allowing him to pay off debts, put a down payment on a house, and continue coin roll hunting now as a serious side business rather than just a hobby. Another remarkable discovery happened in an elementary school classroom in Texas, where a creative teacher decided to incorporate coin collecting into a math lesson about counting, sorting, and data collection. She asked each student to bring pennies from home, and the class spent a week examining, counting, and categorizing over 5,000 pennies by date, mint mark, and condition. One student, a quiet 9-year-old girl, brought in a small bag of pennies that her grandmother had given her from an old purse that had been sitting in a closet for years, and among those coins was a 2011 penny that looked odd to the teacher's experienced eye, having a doubled appearance on Lincoln's profile that seemed more pronounced than normal circulation doubling. The teacher, who was a casual coin collector herself, recognized that this might be significant and, with the parents' permission, had the coin authenticated by a professional service. The coin turned out to be a major 2011 double die obverse error, one of only a few dozen known examples, and it was graded MS 63, remarkably high for a coin that had been circulating in someone's purse for years. The family made the generous decision to sell the coin at auction where it brought $137,000, and they used the proceeds to set up a college fund for their daughter, donate to the school's education foundation, and take their first-ever family vacation to Disney World, turning a forgotten handful of pennies into life-changing opportunity. The technical aspects of what makes 2011-era pennies so valuable and collectible involve a complex interplay of rarity, condition, eye appeal, and historical significance that can be difficult for newcomers to understand but becomes intuitive once you've spent time studying and handling these coins. Rarity is obviously the primary driver. Errors that occur less frequently are worth more because fewer examples exist to satisfy collector demand, and when you're talking about errors where only a handful of specimens are known to exist worldwide, the rarity factor pushes values into 7- and 8-figure territory. Condition is the second major factor, because even rare errors can vary dramatically in value depending on their state of preservation. A coin that's been circulating for years and shows significant wear might be worth thousands, while an identical error in pristine mint state condition could be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. Eye appeal is more subjective but still crucial. Collectors prefer coins that are aesthetically pleasing, with original surfaces, attractive coloration, strong strikes, and minimal distracting blemishes. Two coins with identical technical specifications might command different prices based purely on which one looks better to the collector community. Historical significance adds another layer of value. Coins that represent important transitions in American coinage, like the 2011 pennies that were produced during a period of experimentation with metal compositions and ongoing debates about whether to eliminate the penny entirely, carry additional value because they represent a specific moment in American economic and monetary history. As we reach the conclusion of this incredible journey through the world of ultra-rare Lincoln pennies, I want you to take a moment to fully absorb everything we've covered and understand just how real and possible it is that you could be the next person to make a life-changing discovery. We've explored the $37 million 2010 D penny with its spectacular double die and transitional errors, the $51 million 2008 penny with its jaw-dropping triple denomination mule mistake, and finally this absolutely unprecedented $61 million 2011 penny that represents the pinnacle of modern-era coin collecting. And the common thread running through all of these stories is that these aren't ancient artifacts locked away in museums or buried treasure that requires expensive expeditions to uncover. These are modern coins that were minted within the last 15 years, that circulated in everyday commerce, and that could literally be sitting in your possession right now if you just take the time to look. The treasure hunt is real, the opportunities are real, and the life-changing fortunes are real, but they only become reality for the people who have the knowledge to recognize value when they see it and the dedication to actually search instead of just dreaming about it. Every single day across America, millions of pennies change hands in transactions, get deposited into banks, sit forgotten in jars and drawers, or get rolled up and set aside without anyone examining them carefully, and every single day, there's a chance that one of these extraordinary error coins is moving through that system completely unnoticed, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and the right knowledge to pull it from circulation and unlock its incredible value. You now have that knowledge. You understand what years to focus on, what errors to search for, what warning signs indicate that a coin might be special, and what steps to take if you think you've found something valuable, which means you're now part of an elite group of informed treasure hunters who are actually equipped to make discoveries that could change your life. The question now isn't whether these valuable pennies exist. We know they do because we've seen them sell at auction for millions of dollars. The question is who will find the next one, and will that person be you? So here's your call to action, starting right now, today. Make the commitment to become a serious penny searcher. Gather up every penny you have in your home. Go through your change, check your car, look in coat pockets, search through old purses and bags, ask family members if they have any old coins lying around, and start examining those 2008, 2010, and 2011 pennies with the careful attention they deserve. Get yourself a jeweler's loupe or a decent magnifying glass if you don't already have one. They're inexpensive and available at any hobby store or online. And spend some time practicing identifying the features we've discussed so you'll recognize them instantly when you encounter them in your searches. Make it a habit to request penny rolls from your bank regularly and search through them systematically. This is an activity you can do while watching television or listening to music, and while most of the coins you examine will be ordinary, it only takes finding one major error to make all that effort worthwhile. Join online coin collecting communities and forums where you can learn from experienced searchers, share your finds, and get opinions on coins that you think might be valuable. The numismatic community is generally welcoming and helpful to newcomers who show genuine interest and respect for the hobby. The beautiful thing about this treasure hunt is that it's completely accessible to everyone regardless of age, background, wealth, or location. You don't need special connections, you don't need a large investment of capital, you don't need advanced degrees or technical expertise, you just need knowledge, which you now have, patience, which you can develop, and the willingness to actually do the work of searching, which is entirely within your control. Some people will watch this video, think it sounds interesting, and then do nothing, and those people will never find anything because you can't win if you don't play. But then there are people like you, who have watched all the way to the end, who have absorbed this information, and who are going to take action. And those are the people who find the $61 million pennies, who discover the life-changing errors, and who get to experience the absolutely incredible thrill of realizing that they're holding a genuine fortune in the palm of their hand. The next great discovery is out there waiting, and I truly believe it could be found by someone watching this video right now, someone who takes this knowledge seriously and commits to the search. So don't let this opportunity slip away. Start your penny treasure hunt today. Stay persistent even when you're examining thousands of ordinary coins, and never forget that the next penny you pick up could be the one that changes everything. Thank you so much for watching The Coin Merchant. If you found this information valuable, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin content, and drop a comment below telling me if you're going to start searching for these valuable pennies, because I love hearing from fellow treasure hunters and I might even feature your discoveries in a future video. Now get out there and start searching. Your fortune might be waiting in the most unexpected place, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore even more incredible coins that could make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. Happy hunting, and may the coin gods smile upon your search.